Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. We must, indeed, all hang together, or, most assuredly, we shall all hang separately. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. It takes many good deeds to build a good reputation, and only one bad one to lose it. Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time, for that is the stuff life is made of. Wine is constant proof that God loves us and loves to see us happy. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Money has never made man happy, nor will it. There is nothing in its nature to produce happiness. The more of it one has, the more one wants. The Constitution only gives people the right to pursue happiness. You have to catch it yourself. Remember not only to say the right thing in the right place, but far more difficult still, to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment. It is the working man who is the happy man. It is the idle man who is the miserable man. Tricks and treachery are the practice of fools that don't have brains enough to be honest. I am for doing good to the poor, but I differ in opinion about the means. I think the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but leading or driving them out of it. Without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech. Hide not your talents. They for use were made. What's a sundial in the shade? I wake up every morning at 9 and grab for the morning paper. Then I look at the obituary page. If my name is not on it, I get up. Be at war with your vices, at peace with your neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man. Work as if you were to live 100 years. Pray as if you were to die tomorrow. A house is not a home unless it contains food and fire for the mind as well as the body. If time be of all things the most precious, wasting time must be the greatest prodigality. He that is of the opinion money will do everything may well be suspected of doing everything for money. He that would live in peace and at ease must not speak all he knows or all he sees. At 20 years of age the will reigns, at 30, the wit, and at 40, the judgment. A life of leisure and a life of laziness are two things. There will be sleeping enough in the grave. Your net worth to the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones. All mankind is divided into 3 classes: those that are immovable, those that are movable, and those that move. The U.S. Constitution doesn't guarantee happiness, only the pursuit of it. You have to catch up with it yourself. For having lived long, I have experienced many instances of being obliged, by better information or fuller consideration, to change opinions, even on important subjects, which I once thought right but found to be otherwise. The doorstep to the temple of wisdom is a knowledge of our own ignorance. Marriage is the most natural state of man, and the state in which you will find solid happiness. It is much easier to suppress a first desire than to satisfy those that follow. Most people return small favors, acknowledge medium ones, and repay greater ones with ingratitude. Where there's marriage without love, there will be love without marriage. If a man could have half of his wishes, he would double his troubles. How few there are who have courage enough to own their faults, or resolution enough to mend them. If a man empties his purse into his head, no one can take it from him. He that displays too often his wife and his wallet is in danger of having both of them borrowed. Human felicity is produced not as much by great pieces of good fortune that seldom happen as by little advantages that occur every day. He that has done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another than he whom you yourself have obliged. Content makes poor men rich. Discontent makes rich men poor. He that raises a large family does, indeed, while he lives to observe them, stand a broader mark for sorrow, but then he stands a broader mark for pleasure too. There is no kind of dishonesty into which otherwise good people more easily and frequently fall than that of defrauding the government. So convenient a thing it is to be a reasonable creature, since it enables one to find or make a reason for everything one has a mind to do. God grant that not only the love of liberty but a thorough knowledge of the rights of man may pervade all the nations of the earth, so that a philosopher may set his foot anywhere on its surface and say, "This is my country." Each year one vicious habit discarded, in time might make the worst of us good. For my own part, I wish the bald eagle had not been chosen the representative of our country. He is a bird of bad moral character. He does not get his living honestly. It is the eye of other people that ruin us. If I were blind, I would want neither fine clothes, fine houses, or fine furniture. Those disputing, contradicting, and confuting people are generally unfortunate in their affairs. They get victory, sometimes, but they never get goodwill, which would be of more use to them. I conceive that the great part of the miseries of mankind are brought upon them by false estimates they have made of the value of things. From a child I was fond of reading, and all the little money that came into my hands was ever laid out in books. Pleased with the Pilgrim's Progress, my first collection was of John Bunyan's works in separate little volumes. As we enjoy great advantages from the inventions of others, we should be glad of an opportunity to serve others by any invention of ours, and this we should do freely and generously. There never was a truly great man that was not at the same time truly virtuous. In my youth, I traveled much, and I observed in different countries that the more public provisions were made for the poor, the less they provided for themselves, and of course became poorer. And, on the contrary, the less was done for them, the more they did for themselves, and became richer. Tomorrow, every fault is to be amended, but that tomorrow never comes. We are more thoroughly an enlightened people, with respect to our political interests, than perhaps any other under heaven. Every man among us reads, and is so easy in his circumstances as to have leisure for conversations of improvement and for acquiring information. When will mankind be convinced and agree to settle their difficulties by arbitration? It is only when the rich are sick that they fully feel the impotence of wealth. In general, mankind, since the improvement of cookery, eats twice as much as nature requires. In the affairs of this world, men are saved not by faith, but by the want of it. When men and woman die, as poets sung, his heart's the last part moves, her last, the tongue.